A warm welcome to you anywhere around the world. This is Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. A framework for accountability and enhancement of compliance with human rights tenets in peacekeeping operations is now a standard practice as formulated by the United Nations. This has necessitated the African Union and ECOWAS to evaluate their joint regional framework to bring it at par with global practices. Correspondent Kelvin Ebonwaye reports.
It is a high-level meeting of the Strategic Steering Committee of the AU, EU, United Nations and ECOWAS Partnership Project for compliance with international accountability protocols for troops during peacekeeping operations at the continental and regional levels. For ECOWAS, the review is coming in handy at a time the regional body is about to operationalize its standby force to combat terrorism in affected countries. While pledging continued support for AU and ECOWAS missions, the UN and EU are concerned about human rights abuses, and this review of the Code of Operation is aimed at eliminating factors that make such behavior by troops to thrive.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just declared open the high-level meeting on counter-terrorism. The African Union and its partners, ECOWAS and all other RECs, are saying clearly that the mainstreaming of human rights will be central to the fight against terrorism.
The UN has adopted a resolution 2719, which enjoins the UN to support African-led peace operations with access contribution. Access contribution meaning the monies member states contribute to the UN. So will be automatically 75% of it will be dedicated, to African-led peace operation.
At the end of the three-day meeting, the current AU-ECOWAS document on protection of civilians and Code of Rules of Engagement for troops, first used in Somalia peacekeeping missions, will be amended. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
Terrorism is evolving in Africa, and so relevant players on the side of the states must equally evolve more comprehensive and innovative approaches towards combating terrorism on the continent. This was the common ground of leaders at the high-level African counter-terrorism meeting holding in Abuja. State House correspondent Musbal Danwahab reports that President Bola Tinubu declared the meeting open under the theme Strengthening Regional Cooperation and Institution Building to address the evolving threats of terrorism in Africa.
From the Chad Basin to the Sahel and then the Horn of Africa, the 5 regions on the continent face the evolving threat of terrorism and its consequences. Tens of thousands of human lives have been lost to the scourge and lots more still facing the risk.
The epicenter of terrorism has shifted from the Middle East and North Africa into sub-Saharan Africa, concentrated largely in the Sahel region. The situation in Africa, particularly in the Sahel, is dire, with some of the most violent terrorist groups operating in the Sahel, the region now accounting for almost half of all deaths from terrorism globally.
These issues are demanding drastic measures, and as Nigeria hosts the rest of the continent, partners across the globe are here too to join in the search for solutions to the threat of terrorism.
By prioritizing collaborative initiatives and supporting reconstruction, disengagement, reintegration, and reconciliation efforts, we can address the root causes of terrorism and promote sustainable peace and security.
Additionally, political instability, governance challenges, ethnic and religious tensions, economic inequality, and poverty also significantly contribute.
Then, the challenge is apparently half solved, with leaders here identifying poverty, marginalization, illegal mining, proliferation of small and light weapons in the hands of non-state actors as part of the root causes. And just as the host president, Bola Tinubu, agrees that terrorism cannot coexist with democracy, the leaders believe that inclusive development, good governance and rule of law should be guaranteed, while also building institutions and strengthening existing structures to stem the tide of terrorism on the continent.
No one state can solve this problem for itself. It requires continuous and concerted action by all of us. We need to reposition our regional organizations and build the capacity of our national institutions to effectively address this element of terrorism and violent extremism.
We must invest in building the capacity of our institutions to detect, prevent, and respond to terrorist threats, whilst respecting due process, transparency, and accountability.
We need to build synergies between our forces for defence and security, but we also need to deploy effective institutions in a context of reorganising and restriking global balances.
Now, this assemblage has just 2 days to brainstorm and come up with an enduring solution that will turn around the current threat of terrorism in Africa. In Abuja, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu departs Abuja for the Kingdom of Netherlands on an official visit. On the invitation of the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, President Tinubu will engage in high-level discussions with the Prime Minister as well as hold separate meetings with His Royal Majesty King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Kingdom. While in the Netherlands, the President will also participate in the Nigerian-Dutch Business and Investment Forum that will bring together heads of conglomerates and organizations in both countries to explore opportunities for collaboration and partnerships, especially in agriculture and water management, towards innovative solutions for sustainable farming practices. There will also be an extensive discussion with the Dutch officials on port management operations, for which they have world-renowned expertise. After his engagement in the Netherlands, the President will proceed to attend a special World Economic Forum meeting scheduled for April 28 to 29 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. At the World Economic Forum meeting, which focuses on global collaboration, growth and energy for development, President Tinubu and his entourage will use the opportunity of the gathering of over 1,000 leaders from all walks of life to engage in discussions in furtherance of his renewed hope agenda. In a renewed effort to address ongoing food crisis, the Kogi State government has devised strategies for the comprehensive revitalization of agriculture in the state. The initiative targets transformation of high-yield crops such as rice, maize, cassava, designed to elevate the challenges of food insecurity and ensure year-round food sufficiency in the state. Correspondent Solomon Ayedei reports.
Agriculture stands as a viable sector capable of contributing more than 75% to the gross domestic product, GDP, of any nation. Beyond merely boosting the economy, agriculture holds the potential to foster job creation, ensure food security, and drive industrial growth. As the 2024 cropping season unfolds in Kogi State, the concerted efforts of the state government are aimed at transforming agriculture into a thriving business, leveraging the abundant arable land and other inherent potentials.
The 19th of February, His Excellency Alhaji Ahmed Usman Ododo called the farmers across the state. He had a good and robust engagement with them and assured them that they are going into real farming activities. in a different way, not business as usual.
In pursuit of this goal, the state government has initiated the mapping of farmlands and the comprehensive data capturing of farmers across the central districts. The objective is to cultivate high-yield crops such as rice, maize, and cassava to address the challenges of food insecurity. The government will cover the cost of tractor services, supply of seedlings, and other essential farm inputs, in addition to providing agricultural extension services.
We are going into semi-mechanization because we are bringing in tractors, we are bringing in necessary and improved seedlings to guide them, to help them to boost their productivity.
Furthermore, Kogi State will prioritize other food and cash crops where it possesses a comparative advantage, catering to both local consumption and trade. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
We go over now to the confluent states where Solomon would be joining us to give us an insight. Of course, Solomon, it's good to see you. Give us some additional insight into Kogi State's government's agriculture revitalization initiative.
Welcome to Lokoja, the Kogi State capital. Kogi State is blessed with a lot of arable lands, and the Kogi State government is leveraging on that to ensure food sufficiency in the state. The initiative powered by the state government is aimed at working on about 7,324 hectares of land, which a total of 7,324 farmers are being drafted to explore. In other words, one farmer per hectare is expected to work on the farms. For rice, we have 5,124 hectares, and for maize, we have 1,000 hectares, and also cassava, we have 1,200 hectares. It is the first time in the history of Kogi State that the state government is taking a proactive measure to develop agriculture with a serious zeal. And of course, it is because of the prevailing food crisis in the country and in line with the charge by President Tinubu, urging individuals, groups, and states to develop agriculture to ensure food sufficiency. 3 weeks ago, this initiative took off with the mapping of farmlands across 21 local government areas. Like I told you, 7,324 hectares of farmlands are involved here, and data capturing of farmers also is currently ongoing. And the effort is geared towards growing high-yield crops like rice, maize, and cassava. This is targeted at providing food to bridge the gap between the crisis witnessed right now across the country.
All local farmers gearing up to embrace and capitalize on this development. Remember, this surely is going to mark a milestone in the state's agricultural landscape.
Are happy, and they are committed to working with the state government to ensure that the project is fruitful, and the people are hoping that in no distant time there will be food on the table of the people of the state, and of course for sales across the country and beyond.
My colleague Solomon Ayedehi, I'd like to thank you for joining us on Nationwide. I've been conversing with Solomon Ayedehi in Lokoja on the preparation to boost agriculture in the states. Let's move on to Nationwide and equally tell you that Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has called on traditional rulers to sustain their support for the government, describing them as critical stakeholders in nation building. She said this at Osun State's Government House, Oshogbo, where she met with traditional rulers in the states, led by the Oni of Ife, Oba Enitan Adeyeye Ogunwusi. The First Lady, who is in Oshogbo to perform the groundbreaking ceremony for the alternative high school for girls, applauded the traditional rulers for supporting the current administration by advancing the cause of peace and progress in the respective domains. While Osun State's Governor Ademola Adeleke appreciated the First Lady for choosing the state as the pilot for her transformative intervention in the educational sector, the Oni of Ife described her as a unifier who is building bridges across and beyond party lines. Turning the state for the special school is already generating a lot of excitement in the states, where it is expected to provide girls who dropped out of school for various reasons with another opportunity to acquire functional and formal education. Time now to go over to our Kaduna Network Center for the next set of reports on Nationwide.
Well, Ayo Deji, and glad to have you join us here. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) Zonal Command is engaging critical stakeholders on how to strike a balance between availability of controlled medicines and how to prevent its circulation. Zone F Command of the NDLEA is leading the conversation with a team of experts to address concerns and chart a way forward. Haruna Muhammad reports.
Abuse have continued to be a source of concern due to its health implications and negative impact on the society. This is because a lot of criminal activities are associated with the use of hard drugs. However, there is also the need to ensure that patients who are in need of these medications have access to it, at the same time regulating its circulation from the society for possible abuse. This is the reason for this engagement with critical stakeholders on the way forward. Joseph Adamu, Deputy Commandant General of Narcotics, Zone F, led the discussion with contributions on how controlled medicines can be accessed. Political Council of Nigeria, Association of Nurses and Midwives, and other sister agencies present are all in the same page.
These are drugs that have to be centrally controlled. So the stores that NAFDAC has in Lagos is where the central store exists. There's a pillar in the National Drug Control Master Plan that provides for it. So there's legitimacy there. So from there, like I said, we'll take it forward.
We need to have a better coordination of our regulatory bodies on this. There are too many people doing too many things.
They all agree that sustained and robust collaboration as well as sensitization is required, with strict supervision from the value chain for effective monitoring and control in Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps, Kaduna State Command, has expressed satisfaction with the level of compliance with security protocols during the ongoing Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination. Sabira Aliyu reports that the State Commandant, Lucy Fakoya, revealed this after inspecting some accredited computer-based test centers in Kaduna.
Of its mandate is to ensure that the national examinations are conducted hitch-free, devoid of malpractices. It is in this light that the Kaduna State Commandant of the Corps, Lucy Fakoya, accompanied by officers of the command, arrived at the 1,000 capacity Mega Joint Admission and Matriculation Board Hall, where students are currently undergoing computer-based tests to observe the security situation. Moving from one CBT center to another within the Mega Jam Hall, the Commandant inspects the security arrangements and facilities in place, as well as interact with the JAM officials on duty. She further led the team to another accredited computer-based test center in Kaduna State University to assess the examination regulations compliance.
We discovered that the centers were well arranged according to our specification, and all the students were well seated. The computers were in very good working condition.
It will be recalled that prior to the commencement of the examination, personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps conducted security meeting with stakeholders to ensure a hitch-free exercise. In Kaduna,
And that concludes our package on Nationwide. We'll be rejoining Ayo Deji.
You're welcome back. Let's begin this segment with a bit of education, where the minister in charge, Professor Tahir Mamman, has warned parents against rushing their children and wards into tertiary institutions before the age of maturity, insisting that the entry year remains 18. He stated this while monitoring the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination in Abuja. Correspondent Olayinka Ojo reports.
Before now, one could easily see a 50-year-old sitting for JAMB's UTME exercise. But going by the law and the 6334 system, before a candidate writes the UTME, he or she must have clocked 17 going to 18. For the Minister of Education, the government will play its role in ensuring compliance.
And, that's a stage when students migrate from a controlled to an uncontrolled environment where they are in charge of their own affairs. So if they are too young, I think they won't be able to manage properly. And that's account for some of the problems we are seeing in the universities. So we are going to look at that.
Applauding the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB for the seamless exercise, Minister of State for Education noted that the adoption of technology has assisted in reducing the cases of examination malpractices.
And most of the important things that I've seen here, which is a major characteristic of online examination, is the speed. The speed in the center is really excellent one. Pages are turned as at when candidate needed and without any delay for booting.
Like this young girl, latecomers may try their luck next time. And for others, it is a different stroke for different candidates.
We started on time and we finished too on time. And none of the systems were having problems.
More than 1.2 million candidates have so far participated in the exercise. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
In a related development, members of the Senate and House Committees on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund have lent their voices to the federal government's decision to limit admission to tertiary institutions to candidates at the age of 18. Chairman of the committee, Senator Montari Danuse, stated this while monitoring the ongoing 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination at 2 examination centers in Abuja.
Limitations is quite sacrosanct, and is what the minister said is the truth of the matter.
If it means to even take it and amend and make sure we have a robust law, we're going to do that.
Well, the Nigerian College of Technology, Zaria, has been adjudged to be the best aviation training college in Africa. These are the words of Chairman Joint Committee on Aviation, Suleiman Yahya Richifa, during a fact-finding and on-the-spot assessment of facilities at the college, following the alleged plan to relocate some of its simulators to another location. Haruna Mohammed reports.
On arrival at the college, the aviation committee members led by its chairman, Suleiman Yahya Richifa, settled for the business. They are here to inquire and clear all doubts on the alleged move to relocate the smoke and fire simulator out of the college that has been a subject of investigation in the National Assembly. Having led a brief meeting, the acting rector led the committee on assessment of facilities. The committee chairman, Suleiman Richifa, having toured the facility, engaged the crew, describing the simulator as laudable achievement, promising more support to the college.
We have seen it, it was tested, and we are satisfied with what we have seen. There's a lot of hope for Nigerians, and we are advising the entire nation to utilize this industry, to utilize this sector.
According to the acting rector of the college, the simulator is the best in Africa and has been put into use, graduating its first set of trainees in the year 2023 while anticipating more trainees.
There is no way that this equipment can be moved from here, as demonstrated by the firefighting unit. So we are happy, and that will form a good report.
With the fire and smoke simulator handy at the Nigerian College of Aviation, Zaria, Nigeria is set to be on track as Nigerian aerodrome firefighters will no longer have to go abroad for training, but in turn, sell Nigeria to the world. From the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
And from Zaria, it's time now to go over to our Makudi Network Center, and Susan will be our guide. Good evening, Susan.
To have you join us in Makudi. The Nigerian Army will aside its constitutional duties, build the capacity of officers and soldiers, and improve on their welfare. These were the words of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, at the opening ceremony of a 4-day workshop organized by the Nigerian Army Directorate of Inspection and Compliance in Makudi. Blessing Omecha Ebute has details.
Edition of the Office of the Chief of Army Staff Annual Project Inspection Workshop seeks to equip participants with requisite knowledge and skills in the art of project monitoring and evaluation. Director, Nigerian Army Directorate of Inspection and Compliance, Major General Ibrahim Jallo encouraged participants to utilize the period of the workshop and build strong capacity for themselves so as to enhance personal and professional development.
Together, we can enhance our project management capabilities, strengthen the administration of our troops, and ultimately fulfill our constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment which is in line with the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophy.
Commander for Special Forces Command, Major General Hilary Nzan, who represented the Chief of Army Staff, emphasized the relevance of the workshop, which is to build required competencies that will translate into improved capacity of officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army.
I will now relent on my drive to construct and rehabilitate operational training and administration facilities both in the barracks and in the field, as part of efforts to improve welfare and reposition of our troops for professional excellence.
The 4-day annual Project Inspection Workshop 2024, holding at the Nigerian Army School of Military Engineering, Makudi, is with the theme, Effective Utilization of the Inspection and Compliance Machinery, an efficient tool for project management in the Nigerian Army to the attainment of a sound administration of troops towards achieving our constitutional responsibility within a joint environment. In Makudi, Blessing Omecha Ebute, NTA News.
Governor Abu Kefas has urged members of the National Assembly from Taraba State to work together to ensure the completion of the Ibi Bridge across the River Benue. The governor made the call when he toured the project site in company of some illustrious sons of the state. Bem Hanya reports.
The construction of the 2.3-kilometer Ibi Bridge with an 8-kilometer access road was awarded by the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020 to RCC and was expected to be completed before 2023. Concerned about the suspension of work on the bridge, Governor Abu Kefas visited the project site to get first-hand information about it and how progress could be made. While stressing the need for collaboration to pursue the project to its logical conclusion, the governor said starting such a project and abandoning it midway could cause flooding and hinder the proper planning of the security network in the area.
Source of people have been relocated from this place. The environment is open, it's porous, and exposed to so many kinds of threats. So we can't even know where to start to plan the security network of this planet. So it's a very serious issue.
Some stakeholders from the state, including Ambassador Idris Waziri, Senator Haruna Manu representing Taraba Central, and his counterpart in the Southern Zone, David Jimkuta, took turns to explain some challenges bedeviling the project. The Ibi Bridge is to be built under a public-private partnership structure and would connect Taraba, Bauchi, Nasarawa, and Plateau states. In Ibi, Bem Hanya, NTA News.
And that does it from...
Thanks for staying tuned. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to serve the court processes regarding the alleged 80 billion naira money laundering charge against the former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, on his counsel, Abdul Muhammad. The presiding judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, gave the order in a ruling following the absence of the former governor in court for his arraignment in the matter. Justice Nwite cited that Section 384, subsection 4 and 5 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 held that since it was becoming almost impossible to effect personal service of the legal processes on the defendants, such could be done through substituted means. The court adjourned to the 10th of May for ruling on the application filed by Yahya Bello through his counsel seeking vacation of an arrest warrant issued against him by the courts on the 17th of April 2024. The EFCC had earlier declared the former governor, Yahya Bello, wanted as a result of the matter. In another development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has denied the insinuation of disobeying any court order relating to matters on the prosecution of former Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello. Acting Director Public Affairs of EFCC, Wilson Owujaren, pointed out that though Yahya Bello sought refuge in a fundamental rights enforcement action through an order granted by Justice Isa Jamil Abdullahi of the High Court of Kogi State, the order did not render legally ineffective an order made by the Federal High Court for the arrest of the former governor for the purpose of his arraignment. EFCC explained that the order of the High Court of Kogi State only granted a leave to enforce Bello's rights to personal liberty and freedom of movement, which did not preclude the Federal High Court to make any order as it may deem just in the determination of the rights of the application and the respondents as may be submitted to it for consideration and determination. He further stressed that the order made by the Federal High Court for the arrests of Yahya Bello for the purpose of his arraignment was not in conflict with the order of the High Court of Kogi State. EFCC maintained that the case before the Federal High Court in Abuja was a criminal charge, different from the fundamental rights enforcement action that is the subject of an appeal. Let's go to power-related matters. In line with the new Electricity Act 2023 and the 1999 Constitution as amended, Enugu and Ekiti states have pulled out of the national electricity markets to establish theirs. In an order issued by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, that transfers the regulatory oversight of the electricity markets in Enugu and Ekiti states to their newly established electricity regulatory commissions. NERC directs Enugu, Benin, and Ibadan electricity distribution companies to incorporate a subsidiary, EEDC Subco and IBEDC Subco, to assume responsibility for intrastate supply and distribution of electricity in Enugu and Ekiti states. Enugu, Benin, and Ibadan electricity distribution companies are mandated to complete the incorporation of EEDC Subco and IBEDC Subco within 60 days from April 22 this year, and all transfers envisaged by this order are to be completed by October 2022-2024. The Electricity Act 2023 mandates any state that intends to establish and regulate intrastate electricity markets to deliver a formal notification of its processes and request NERC to act accordingly. NERC, however, retains the role of central regulator with regulatory oversight on the interstate and international power generation, transmission, supply, trading, and system operations. Elsewhere, 4 towers along the Jos-Gombe transmission line have been vandalized at about 3:32 p.m. yesterday, 22nd April 2024. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says vandals also carted away some tower members presently, which has affected bulk supply of power to Gombe, Yola, and Jalingo substations, which have been disrupted, thereby affecting power supply to Jos and Yola distribution franchise areas. TCN says it is already working on its alternative line to supply Gombe through its 132 kV transmission line from Bauchi and subsequently Ashaka, Potiskum, Damaturu and Biliri. TCN assures that efforts are being made to reconstruct the 4 vandalized towers. Elsewhere, 17th Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Katsina, has emerged winner of the 2024 Inter-Brigade competition. The week-long event was climaxed by the obstacles crossing at the grand finale of the competition, which held at the Nat Center Cantonment in Katsina. Correspondent Awal Haliru reports.
The Inter-Brigade competition had participants from 5 army formations to include 8 Division Garrison Sokoto, 17 Brigade Katsina, 48 Engineers Brigade Sokoto, 1 Brigade Kusau, and 58 Signal Brigade Sokoto. The soldiers participated in combat drilling, 15-kilometer combat race, and obstacles crossing, which was the high points of the final stage. The competition was aimed at improving the physical and mental fitness of the soldiers for combat readiness. At the end of the competition, 17 Brigade Katsina emerged victorious with 70.39 points. Awards were also presented to the participants for their outstanding performance.
The 8th Division Inter-Brigade Corporal Below competition primary objective was to improve junior leadership and inculcate good traits as well as organizational ability and initiative in the stipulated rank bracket.
I want to emphasize the gratitude of the state government to the Nigerian Army for all the support and the cooperation with respect to the security and support in the state.
The final stage of the competition witnessed the presence of all heads of security agencies in Katsina State. In Katsina, Awan Halaru, NTA News.
The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has confirmed that a Dana airline, which is an aircraft, was involved in a runway excursion occurrence on 23rd April 2024 at about 8:25 in the morning. The aircraft, an MD-82 with registration marks 5SN-BKI, departed Abuja for Lagos with 83 passengers and 6 crew members on board. Upon landing at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, the Air Transport Controller Tower observed that the nose wheel had detracted and the nose of the aircraft collapsed, leading to the aircraft veering off the runway to the grassy area. The authority says all passengers and crew disembarked and were evacuated safely while runway 18L was closed in accordance with statutory procedures, and the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has commenced its investigation into the occurrence. NCAA reiterates its avowed commitment to a safe and secure aviation sector as it assures the public its unrelenting efforts in holding all operators and service providers in the sector to the highest international safety standards. The Federal Operations Unit, Zone A of the Nigeria Customs Service, says contrabands worth 36 billion naira were intercepted within 31 months, with 386 suspects arrested in connection with the infractions. The outgun controller of the Federal Operations Unit, Zone A, Hussein Ejibono, said this in Lagos while speaking on the recent trend of smuggling vehicles through land borders.
Guided by the mandate to reduce smuggling to the barest minimum, this platform provided another opportunity for the Customs Service to reassess its anti-smuggling intervention and re-strategize if needed. This time, this vehicle seized at various points along the land border were the bone of contention, with the customs agitated on why some Nigerians will buy expensive vehicles only to smuggle them into the country.
If they have any claims, like submission of any valid document for them to show that duty was paid, we'll look at it. But if nothing is shown to us within 30 days of arrest, it's going to be converted to seizure.
Also intercepted are these two 40-foot containers laden with ladies' handbags, shoes, and other items. The customs say such items are still on the prohibition list, while ongoing investigations centered around tracking the agents will reveal more details. Within 31 months, the Federal Operations Unit Zone A says 22 people were convicted for various offenses.
Other successes recorded by the unit include improved suppression of smuggling by making more seizures and arrest of suspects to serve as deterrent to intending smugglers.
While the customs plans to rejig its operational strategies, it is looking at the positives in its quest to reduce smuggling to the barest minimum.
As the Nigerian government unveils more programs for youth empowerment, at least 2,000 youth cutting across the different religious and ethnic groups in the country have committed themselves to serving the fatherland in Akwa Ibom State at all costs. This was at the swearing-in ceremony of Batch A Stream 2 Corps members deployed to Akwa Ibom State. Clement Barikwi has details.
The state and shun bribery and all forms of corruption and nepotism.
The journey of a mandatory one-year national service begins for these youths as representative of the Akwa Ibom State Chief Judge formally admit them into the NYSC scheme. Acknowledging the contributions of the NYSC scheme to the development of the state and her people, Governor Umoeno, represented at the event, says the welfare of the Corps members is a priority.
The government will continue to do its part to give you the needed support and enabling environment to contribute to the overall growth of our economy, as we are consciously taking necessary steps to ensure that your lives and properties, including that of other citizens, are protected against all forms of threats or abuse.
They have also shown great enthusiasm and have been responding satisfactorily to the regimented nature of the camp, which I considered as initial evidence of their determination to succeed in this program.
Out of the 2,164 Corps members deployed to Akwa Ibom State, 1,065 are males, while 1,099 are females. Clement Barikwi, NTA News.
Nigeria is set to host presentation of the State of the World Population Swap 2024 reports, with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, re-emphasizing commitment to sustaining its mandate of delivering accurate and reliable information. Chairman, National Population Commission, Nasir Isakwara, led a team to the NTA headquarters for an engagement with the leadership of the NTA in order to strengthen advocacy on population matters, especially census. Olusheye Adiabu reports.
The National Population Commission, Nigeria's leading demographic agency that provides data for national planning, has over the years been generating its data in silos and committing each finances to have it secured. Now, data storage is on another cruise as the Commission now boasts of this well-secured on-site data processing center.
Census data is the mother of all data, and if you generate this kind of data, you have to have a robust data center. We have one in our headquarters. It's not been fully completed, but this one has been fully completed, and By the grace of God, we deploy this facility immediately.
Having gone through what has been provided here, we are very proud and convinced that, yes, the Commission is set for a truly digital census.
The contractor did a very wonderful work.
Partners are confident that the facility is well fortified and has become impenetrable for hackers, with the MPC management keen on ensuring its sustainability.
We've tried our best as much as possible using technology that's available worldwide, the most advanced technology, to cater for and make sure we can mitigate against cyber attack.
Part of the contract entails training of our staff in the day-to-day running of this center.
And this is another testimony to the fact that we are ready to give Nigeria a reliable and acceptable census.
The National Population Commission Chairman, Nasir Isakwara, inspected non-sensitive materials deployed ahead of last year's planned census and enjoined staff of the Commission in Kaduna State to exhibit maintenance culture. Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
And next is